Hey, what is up, DCS Crew? Today we have a knife that I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of glad I got in my hands finally to go ahead and check out. I've used it a little bit, and today I get to kind of talk about it a little. This is the Civivi Knives Pintail. This is model number C2020B. That means it's the olive green micarta version. Essentially, a lot of people think about this knife as being an Elementum that you can open with thumb studs, but the truth is there's quite a few differences between this and the Elementum. I'm going to talk a little bit about it and, give some of the good, give some of the bad, compare it to some other items, give it the specs, and the old, would I buy it, would I recommend it, would I trade for it, that sort of thing. So stay tuned till after the intro, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this guy. This is the Pintail from Civivi. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and welcome back. Now, what we have here is the Civivi Knives Pintail. Like I said, this is model number C2020B. This is an olive green micarta. This is an office-friendly and I guess you could say EDC-friendly knife. It is running at about 3 inches in blade length and about 4 inches in handle length, so that gives an overall length of 7 inches. And what I'm going to do, just to kind of get this out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and place the knife right here and put the specs. Feel free to go ahead and pause at this portion of the video so you can go ahead and get more time to look at the specs. Now, that being said, let me go ahead and compare it with a couple of other knives now that I have them out. First and foremost, this is the we produced, Gareth Bull designed, and drop marketed or made specifically for mass drop, or the company known as drop. This is the Mura. Okay, this is the Eye of Ra from Best Tech Knives. I'm going to take this one out the way. All right, and let's see what else we have here. This is the Concept Knives Mini Goblin from Marshall Noble. Cool little knife. I will have a review on that one in a little bit. I have the Kershaw Bare Knuckle right here. That's the 20 CV variant, by the way, the black scales. This is the CJRB Milea, or the Milea, I believe it's called. And last but not least, what's in my pocket? Oh yeah, the Artisan Cutlery, Dylan Mallory designed, what is it? The Mini Archeo, excuse me. I was going to call it the Centros, of course, because I was looking at CGRB, and that's what we got. So, back to the situation at hand, which I would like to call the Civivi Pintail review. Now, the reason why I wanted to get this knife in my hands is because the truth is, I did really like the Elementum. The Elementum was a knife that when it crossed my path, initially it had the wood scales, it had D2 steel. It was it was just thick enough in the handles, and great action, ran on cage bearings just like this, and great price. And then a lot of people were just like, oh, fuck, man, D2, Chinese D2, and they were really over it. So later on they came out with S35 yen variants. I had picked one up that I was told was the stone-washed version with jade scales, and I was over the moon. I'm like, yes, this is the perfect Civivi Elementum for me. They even actually made the knife just slightly skinnier, and the blade, I believe, is just slightly thinner to be able to let it slice better. And the truth is, I didn't like it because of the simple fact that they marketed it as a stonewash blade, and it ended up being a bead blast blade. So I went ahead and I got rid of it, and I was just, I was devastated. I know that there are new versions coming out soon, but in this case, I did want to go ahead and check this out because the truth is, I thought the knife would be really cool as a thumb stud variant. And lo and behold, they didn't create a thumb stud variant. They actually created the Pintail. And not only did they create the Pintail, but they started it with micarta scales. If I'm not mistaken, to date, there is no G10 variant. There is only micarta in these variants. So you get a brown micarta and you get an olive green micarta. Now, with an overall length of 7 inches, you have the ability to carry this in a variety of different states, especially here in the US for locking blades. A lot of locations are going to want, if they have restrictions, the blade to be 3 inches in blade length or under. So this comes right in at 3 inches. It should be good to go. Another good thing that I like about it is the fact that it has, the nice thickness in the hand and the side. Besides that, they did consider both the left hand and the right hand carry crowd. So you do have holes for swapping the clip, which is a deep carry clip, to the left hand side. And for people that just don't like having a clip at all and feel like carrying a lanyard, you can go ahead and use the lanyard hole right there, or you can just have it on there just to kind of make it look cool. Another thing that I really like about Civivi in general is the fact that they use these generic clips. They are generic deep carry clips, but they don't have the Civivi name all over them. Yes, that's right, I'm looking at you, Sog. I'm looking at you, Buck. The clips should not have to be billboards for knives, especially when they're deep carry clips, because of the fact deep carry clips are meant to conceal the knife. So what's the point of conceal it if you're going to go ahead and put a billboard, say, the company's name? You're basically saying, hey, I got a knife that's buried down here with this deep carry clip. That's stupid. So the good thing about that is that Civivi understands that, and they went ahead and they designed this clip. Now, speaking of design, one other thing that I do want to show you is if you look at the scales and the liners and you see how they're set up. Okay, if you look very closely, the scales are not only contoured, okay, and they're rounded off pretty much to get a nice comfortable feel of the hand anywhere in your hand, or in your paws, if you will. They are actually milled so that they sit just before the liners end. So you end up having kind of like a they don't sit flush. So you actually go this way. If you actually go this way with your finger, it'll stop right here before the liner, and you will actually feel the liner. And it's meant to do that for just a little bit extra kind of texture and feel. And in this particular case, everything is nice and smooth. As you can see, it has that gray matte finish for the liner, and it's actually done very, very well. The inside of the knife, if you look closely, has been skeletonized. See if I can show that there. There, you can see that a little bit better. Okay. And then they've also done it on this side as well, so you can see the holes there. They have taken that into consideration, and if I'm not mistaken, this weighs just over 2 3/4 of an ounce, so 2.76 ounces on this particular knife, and I like that. So now, for those people who prefer the thumb stud and they're like, why do you have the flipper tab? Well, number one, not everybody likes thumb studs. So it's nice to have that flipper tab. With the cage bearings, it still flips open just as well as, say, the Elementum or pretty much any other Civivi that's meant to run on bearings, and they do it exceptionally well. But the fact is, having that flipper tab there also doubles as a finger guard once it's been deployed because of the jimping that's right here under the flipper tab. Maybe you can see that right there. And by the way, lockup is very good. So it does lock up your finger right here. It just kind of like guards the finger. So when you're using it, you're not going to have that issue with the finger actually coming up and getting sliced. Okay, so now the thickness of this particular knife is just under 1/2 inch, which is great. My sweet spot is 0.4 to 0.5, maybe a little bit more than 0.5. That 1/2 inch, but this is really good. I want to say it's like 0.46 or 0.47, something like that, from what I had read on the spec sheet. That not only we sent us, but Blade HQ and a couple of other sites that are selling this actually have that advertised as. My digital calipers aren't working right now, so I couldn't verify that for now. But if I were to say that there was one thing that I did not like about this particular knife, okay, is well, it's the scales. And you would think, but Carlos, you like micarta a lot. Yeah, you're right, I do. I like micarta a whole lot, but the problem is Civivi has micarta on here, and micarta typically is meant to be something that's more of a grippy style texture. I would say the best example of it would be that of the Giant Mouse Biblio. You know, the Ace line from Giant Mouse, they have excellent use. They make excellent use of micarta, and they actually source it from the US. Now, this micarta, unfortunately, is very, very smooth. Okay, and if I try to go ahead and rough it up with some, some sandpaper, all it's gonna do is it's gonna fade the color, and it's gonna keep it smooth. Micarta is not the easiest thing to work with, so once you smooth it out, it's not. I mean, it's gonna take you a bit to kind of rough it up again. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Okay, and other than that, I do have one other little pet peeve. And that's, with all of this black hardware, you have the thumb stud, you have the pivot, you have the, the screws on here, the screws under the clip, the pocket clip, everything here is black. But then you have the standoffs back here, okay, in just that matte gray color. I would have made those standoffs black. And that's just me being pedantic, but the truth is, I think if all of the parts for the knife were black, it would look a lot better, okay? Now, normally this would have an MSRP of about just under $100. I think it's $98 here in the US market. But if you're going to pick it up at a retailer anywhere in the US, you're going to find this at just over $83. I think when I had seen this advertised on Blade HQ, it came out to about $83.30. Don't ask me how they came up with the 30 cents, but I guess that's based on their little percentages. And that's it for you. Now, the blade itself is a hollow ground drop point. Now, I want to stress this. That's actually very, very good, because hollow ground knives, and you'll hear things from everybody as, oh, what's the sharpest knife? What's the sharpest knife? A lot of people will say a flat grind or a full flat grind will be the sharpest knife that you can use. That's ideal for EDC. Well, the truth is, as somebody who's been, wet shaving for a little bit, I've come to learn, and just speaking with people who design knives, I've come to learn that hollow ground knives are actually among the knives that you can get as sharp as possible. They are quite possibly the sharpest knives that you can, the sharpest kind of grind that you can have, the most aggressive for a knife. Now, to have something like that for this particular knife is great, because that means, with a good even set of bevels on both sides, okay, and just with regular stropping and use, you can keep a very, very keen edge on this particular knife compared to a lot of other knives out there. And with S35VN steel, which by the way is imported from the US, you're gonna have that that edge with good corrosion resistance, good wear resistance. It's gonna last a good while for EDC use. Now, one thing that I didn't really like is that for being the size that it is, which is about the size of an Ontario Rat number 2 and a lot of other knives that are out there, because 4-inch handle and 3-inch blade is a very, very common size. One thing that I noticed, that it did feel kind of like weird in my hand, to be able to go ahead and get a good grip on and just not feel the pocket clip inside of the meat of my hand. So I found that kind of funky, and I don't know, I feel like this could have been I don't know. There's just something weird about it. So it's okay for like small tasks for me. And if I'm gonna hold it like this, it's a little bit more comfortable, in my hand, because I have less of it that's holding the meat, that's got contact with the meat of my palm. But once I have it open and I have it, like this, it's just like, let's say I hold it tight, okay? You're gonna see something here. Maybe I'll show it. That right there, that indentation that was there, that was the pocket clip. Okay, so I'm gonna do it one more time. I'm gonna hold it, and I'll hold it hard. And you're gonna see exactly where it fits. It's right there. This right here, that's the pocket clip. So when you're using this for a while, okay, you're gonna feel the pocket clip build up right here in this area. And that's gonna create a little bit of a hot spot. Don't let anybody tell you different. If you got hands like mine, that's gonna create a hot spot for you, okay? And yeah, that's my concern with this particular knife. But now that said, it's a nice knife. 83 bucks, yeah, I guess that'd be a pretty decent price for the knife. But you will have to be the judge. In all honesty, there are a lot of really, really good knives out there. Civivi makes a lot of really good knives, but I just kind of think that this is going to be overshadowed by a lot of the outframes that are going to be coming out. I think that they kind of shot themselves in the foot with this, being that they have, you know, the S35 Elementums. They have the new version of the Elementums that have come out. I know Blade HQ was talking about, you know, new ones like that one that's the button lock that you kind of like flick open and close and stuff like that. And they have the budget variants from Sencut, and they have a lot of new stuff that they're introducing there. So a lot of people are trying to look for the most for their money, especially post 2020 with COVID, and a lot of people that have, you know, been furloughed and they lost their jobs, or you know, maybe they just don't have the expendable income that they did before. So this is kind of in a tough position to be able to go ahead and market and sell well, I think personally, with entering into the market at this moment with the Pintail. It's a good knife. I wouldn't call it a great knife, but personally, if I had it and I would regularly, you know, EDC, yeah, I guess, yeah, I could, you know. But truth is, you know, there are a lot of other good options out there from, you know, Civivi and other competing companies. One in particular being a knife that I recently got to review, and it's something that I own, that I EDC, which is the Concept Pelican. Okay, this one is actually through the Kim Ning company named Concept. That's Kansept. Let me go ahead and just put it down there so you can see. It's about the same size. It's a thumb stud only variant that you can technically open with the front flipper. It's got a lot of belly on the blade. Titanium scales, you know, S35EN steel, does not have the deep pocket carry, but it actually, you know, it sits pretty deep in the pocket, and it has the lanyard hole. But you're talking about a difference in knife here, you know, from one company to another with materials and price. This is quite a bit more than the Pintail. So again, price does come into play. It comes a little bit less into play with a knife like this because you're not comparing it to other items that are in its particular line. But with this one, you compare it to the Elementum, you compare, you know, the old ones, you compare it to the new variants that are coming out from Blade HQ, because the Elementum is such a good seller, and you have the Sencut knives that are trying to make its way and gather its ground more in the marketplace for budget knives. So that being said, I'm kind of on the fence on this one, you know. Maybe I'd trade for it. Okay, I wouldn't buy it, and I wouldn't say, hey, buy it. If you can find it as a trade, or you can get it on the secondary, get it, try it out, let me know what you think. But I got a feeling if you're into something like the Elementum and you go ahead and you pick this up because you're like, oh man, this is something that might be, you know, very similar, it's got the micarta and all that stuff, I got a feeling that you're probably going to be disappointed with this. And that's nothing against Civivi, because they make great knives, and this is a good knife. It's just, it's a good knife that came out at a bad time. So take that, you know, as you will. But remember, guys, no matter whether you have the Elementum, whether you have, you know, the Civivi Pintail, or even the Concept Pelican like this guy right here, just remember, if you EDC, think of DCS. You guys have been great, guys. Yeah, this is these are my thoughts about the Civivi Pintail. I'll go ahead and leave you with that. If you have any comments, please feel free to leave them below in the comments section. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or visit my Instagram at Daily Carry Solutions. And with that, I will see you guys later. Take it easy, guys. Peace.